right, everyone, welcome into episode 184 of Two Countries, Two Americas, All Sports. This is the only podcast that talks about both American and Brazilian sports. I'm Nick Hill, live as always from Chattanooga, Tennessee of the United States. Joining me from Americana, Sao Paulo, Brazil is Gus Tomazelli. Gus, how are you doing on this Tuesday evening?
I'm doing good, doing good. Watching Brazil versus Paraguay at Corinthians Stadium. Currently is 1-0 Brazil. Vini Jr. scored in the first half. And of course, was a very highly anticipated match because it was the first match for Carlo Ancelotti, the Brazil national team head coach in Brazilian soil, and also was his birthday, which was there was like a um, the in the stands there was like they do like some sort of a homage towards him, saying happy birthday, Carleto. Now his nickname in Brazil is Carleto. So I guess Brazilian soccer is finally winning again, but I can't say the same about the your country.
Yeah, the American soccer team is a disgrace to soccer. I mean, this honestly tonight might be the worst performance for an American soccer team since the Trinidad and Tobago loss in 2018. Within 35 minutes of this game in Nashville, so in our state. So both of our national teams are playing in our home states tonight. Um, Obviously Brazil showed up today. They're up there playing well, showing that they are a formidable team for next year. The U.S. men's soccer team, if they weren't hosting next year, I would be seriously questioning if they would even make the World Cup at this point. Now they're going to because they host, so they have to be there. But man, they look like just an absolute joke, an absolute high school team tonight, down 4-0 to the Swiss. I mean, literally, the Swiss are putting the Swiss in Swiss cheese. We're getting shredded out here. And it's not pretty tonight. Like, this is just an absolute disgrace.
And it's not like the Switzerland are some sort of a powerhouse in soccer. I mean, they done well only once in the World Cup back in '06.
Yeah. I mean, Switzerland has been decent. I believe the last time they went to the quarterfinals, if I'm not mistaken, they've been pretty good. And obviously, we do have to put the disclaimer out, right? That the Switzerland showed up with their A team, and the U.S. men's team showed up with their C team. But that really, to me, is one of the big problems here. What in the world are we doing not showing up with our top players? You have guys like Christian Pulisic, who's supposed to be the guy, right? We've been promised this golden generation for years at this point. All signs are pointing to the 2026 World Cup. We saw what they did back in 2022, made it to the knockout stage. I'm like, okay, they're building up for 2026. We've known about 2026 since we were in college, guys. We have been waiting on next year for America because this is going to be the chance, right? Like, you're going to host, you have a chance to really galvanize the country and maybe create the next generation of stars. If not win, at least make a run in the knockout stage, right? You haven't won a knockout game since 2002. In fact, that's the only time you've won a knockout game, 2002 and 1930. But man, the fact that you can't even get your star players to show up for a game like this, for a warm-up game for the Gold Cup, and you're getting just absolutely blasted at home. You're getting booed off one of your home turfs in the first half in Nashville, down 4-0 in I think it's GS Park. You're getting booed off the field. The fan base is at their throats for various reasons, right? You have some of the political reasons why they're at each other's throats, and then you just have there's a sense of a large part of the fan base is just apathetic right now. Like, a lot of people just do not care about American soccer because they haven't given them a reason to care about American soccer because, ever since Copa America last year, the U.S. just got absolutely outclassed in that tournament on our home soil. And it just feels like there's no excitement at all. And then instead of focusing on getting the team better, we have guys like Pulisic getting into beefs with Landon Donovan and his dad getting into beefs with Landon Donovan, allegedly using ChatGPT to
Mm.
go back and forth with legends of the sport. Like, I mean, this sounds like one of those Brazilian situations you tell me about, Gus. Like, it's just an absolute disaster. Like, we're focused on everything but soccer.
And I saw a video I should have saved and especially credited on Instagram that kind of points on direction. I feel like the U.S. right now is kind of developing some sort of a, I call the British syndrome, where the development of the league is more important than the development of soccer itself in a country. And MLS basically now runs U.S. soccer, which is ludicrous for me. For example, the way they did with um, U.S. Open Cup, kind of minimalizing, kind of not taking it seriously. The way that there's no relegation and promotion. I mean, we talked about this plenty of times, but you know, but in terms of developing a generation, I feel like after that performance in 2014, which was astonishing, but at the same time, there was no. I guess 2022 was a relapse, but yeah, U.S. soccer is the golden generation that was always like the generation of tomorrow, but tomorrow never arrived.
Well, I mean, my question, when you look back at 2014, right, when we had Jurgen Klinsmann, I understand that Klinsmann wasn't the greatest coach of all time, but why didn't we give him a chance to have a full decade to develop? Because you have to. The German style is giving a whole generation, their entire childhood and adolescence to develop. And the U.S. just didn't do that. And we just had to go from coach to coach. And, I get that Pochettino is a really, really good coach. And I don't know how much of this I can blame him for this loss. I'm sure he's going to take a large share of the blame from fans. But, Jason Warwick, he has it in the comments. So he has a couple. He said, first, this generation is the embodiment of everything negative about Gen Z. At least in America, okay, let's just read all these and then we'll go back one at a time. Landon Donovan is the kind of loser right now, but he's right with what he said the other night. And Landon Donovan basically said that these players just do not care about the United States. Also, he said, "Share save the cup,"
Yeah,
which I
but we're
will.
talking about the U.S. Open Cup.
Yeah, and I've been to matches the last 2 years, and both of those matches were awesome. In the
Yeah,
11 at Atlanta last year,
because I think if you strain the U.S. Open Cup, you strain the soccer roots. You empower the roots of American soccer, which is the semi-pro teams or the third division teams. Those are kind of where you develop the roots that is going to grow into a solid, um, national team. I compare kind of to Brazil. The way that state tournaments and especially teams. I hear, for example, in São Paulo, in the countryside, they kind of been down and weakening. Uh, it affected the national team because in the past those teams developed players that went to the main teams, Corinthians, Sao Paulo, Santos, Palmeiras, and then they go to the national team. So you had a system to develop players, and the system is broken in America even more.
right? Because when you basically have another proxy war now between the USL and MLS, and because USL now with the pro rel, they're clearly going to try to take a shot and see if they can take out the MLS. So it's like when IndyCar split up back in the '90s between IndyCar and kart, and that really dragged down the popularity of open wheel racing in the United States. It's the same thing for soccer. You don't have yeah, I know MLS has been the league in America, but it's not a good league. It's hard to watch because you have to get the Apple TV Plus subscription. Just completely, if you're not already committed to watching MLS, why would you get it? It's not easier to watch because it would make one sense if it was already a part of your Apple TV subscription. Because most people at this point have an Apple TV subscription, but you have to pay extra on top of it. No, I mean, like, compared to, like, what NASCAR is doing right now with Amazon Prime, like, if you have a Prime account, you can watch NASCAR, like, you I mean, this shouldn't be that hard, but MLS makes their product so hard to watch, and because they make their product hard to watch, no one watches, and then no one cares. Like, I haven't watched one MLS game at all this season, outside of when, Indy 11 played Philadelphia Union. I did watch a little bit of Red Wolves versus Nashville SC, but those were open cup games.
Yeah, yeah, I was gonna say that's another competition. I mean, those, you mentioned a team that is in the Major League Soccer, but it was not a Major League Soccer competition.
Right. And Jason says MLS is not a good league. It's a retirement league. It's hard to get onto the TV, and it's a pyramid scheme. USL is grassroots.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and so funny because Jason's gonna remember this. After the downfall of the North American Soccer League, the NASL, uh, everybody thought the MLS is gonna grow even bigger. They're gonna dominate. They're gonna create those, semi-pro leagues, and then the United Soccer League, which was kind of the third level, was kind of still, you know, very small, develop into this league that kind of, has two levels and is spreading across the country. And I think if the United States wants to develop a deeper soccer culture, it wouldn't make sense to, for example, the MLS to be the Premier League. Okay, like that's the league you want to be in. But the USL could be like the EFL, like the English Football League, where you take care of the second, third, and fourth divisions. In England, there's two leagues: the Premier League, where the teams in the first division, and the second to the fourth division, there's the EFL, the English Football League.
Absolutely. And we have to really Jason says MLS has invested so much in the USL that they've created a true competitor. And I hope the USL takes them out one day because maybe then we'll get better talent. Because the MLS guys that are on this US squad are garbage. They're all terrible. Like none of them are of international quality, and they get exposed anytime they play any actual competition on the international stage. Like no one, like if the U.S. is rolling out with MLS players on their squad next year, we're toast. Like we have no chance. Um, but it would really help if our stars would show up and play. Like Christian Pulisic, coming out with this whole like, oh, I'm fatigued. I've had a long season in Europe. I can't play for my country. I'm like, bro, you don't get that many opportunities. Like, you only get a World Cup every 4 years. You've got what, at most maybe 7 to 8 times to play for your country in a World Cup. Like, you're telling me that you at soccer to play for the U.S. men's soccer team. I'll tell you what, though, if I was good enough, I'd be out there representing the red, white, and blue because that's an honor. If I was good enough to represent the U.S. in any sport. And then we got, Pulisic, who is one of the most gifted players this country has ever seen. And he knows the stakes of what next year brings. All these players know the stakes. It's not just the fact that it's the World Cup. It's the World Cup on the 250th birthday of this country. Because next year, 2026, 250 years since 1776, right? And like, where's the pride? And I'm not talking about the pride on the jerseys. Where is the pride in this squad? Where's the pride in the fan base? Like that fan base tonight was pathetic, so quiet, just sitting on their hands. And of course, yeah, they deserved to boo the team when they were down 4-0. But like, you look at like Brazil, right? The fans, at least, they show up.
Yeah,
Like
the
fans,
stadium is completely full tonight here in
and
Sao Paulo. The tickets weren't cheap.
in most games in the U.S., American fans get outnumbered every single time. And I've talked about
I
this
mean,
before, and it drives me crazy
I, I,
because
I I would have. Go ahead. Sorry, finish. I have a
I mean,
suggestion to make.
I was gonna say it just drives me crazy because that's the type of thing that keeps us from ever being a serious team, right? And obviously the fans have no real impact on what happens on the field. But still, it's just like, I mean, what is there to be excited about? There is nothing to be excited about. And the USMT is going to get embarrassed in home soil next year in front of the most countries ever in the World Cup, and the players will be regretful like the Belgians. Well, at least the Belgians like made the knockout stages and made it to the quarterfinals, and they made it to the semis one time. Like they were at least they looked like a competent team. Now, yes, they didn't win anything. The U.S. doesn't even look like a competent team. I mean, it's just a disaster.
But back to your point about the engagement of the U.S. soccer fan with the U.S. men national team. I mean, if playing in big cities like Dallas, Nashville, New York doesn't attract fans, why you go to cities that breathe soccer through USL, Indianapolis, Birmingham, those cities where you have a 15, 20,000 stadium, 20,000, uh, stadiums, probably people will be more interested in, because those cities love soccer. I mean, Jason can tell more about it, how the Indianapolis community embraces in the 11. But I'll tell you, I think like Brazil, for example. In Brazil, I remember there were times when Brazil was going through a rough time, not having results. They played in the Northeast, where fans were more engaged and less critical, and kind of now there's not that anymore. But still, like, if you go to cities where you know if having the U.S. men national team will have a more like a sort of event, maybe that would make the engagement even better.
Heck, I mean, come to a city like Chattanooga. We'll give
Yeah,
them,
Chattanooga.
we'll give them a home atmosphere. Now it won't be much; we only have 20,000 seats, but we'll give them a home atmosphere. You know,
But would you rather have 18 to 20,000 fan in a small stadium, or go to a big stadium and nobody show up, like you point out?
yeah. I mean, I'd rather have the former because I went to the Chattanooga Derby earlier this year, and that was a way better atmosphere than what I just watched.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just crazy. And then also, let's say this as well, right? Um, you know, back to Pulisic, right? Like, isn't it like embarrassing that we literally have Pulisic's dad trying to come in and trying to clap back against Landon Donovan, using ChatGPT to do it, because he referenced Landon Donovan's sabbatical that he took during his career. Um, well, first, it just you just look like a clown first and foremost. Like two, like if you're going to talk trash to a legend, one of the best players in American soccer history, do it yourself. Don't rely on your dad to do it. Like makes you look up soft, and like when teams play you next year, why would they be intimidated at all? Why would they be nervous at all to play when their best player is relying on his dad to talk his trash for him?
Yeah, yeah, it's a completely fair point, and yeah, it's gonna be a. Um, but I'm gonna be a little bit optimist. I seen teams that had a rough uh, World Cup process, especially more in the qualifiers, but even during the process of making it, and sometimes surprised, because remember, the World Cup is in June, so it's a year from now. A lot of things can happen. You might have the prime of your players all be in the same month. That's why I'm optimistic about Brazil next year, because back in 1993, Brazil was also having a rough patch in the qualifiers. The team was being criticized a lot, and they only qualified to the World Cup in the last match against Uruguay. But then it came out and won, because the team clicked on those 7 matches. So that's what matters at the end of the day.
Yeah, I just don't know what the likelihood is that. Like, are all these players that took this year off, and granted, some of them are injured, legitimately. Like Tim Way, for example, he's hurt. Like, he can't help that. Like I don't blame if you're hurt, then yes. Like the Gold Cup ultimately isn't as important as the World Cup. Like, it is what it is on that front. But if you are healthy, you should be out there playing, especially given the context, especially given what's on the line. Um, Mauricio Pochettino, I don't think he should be fired. I'm sure there's some people there's some people who are calling for his firing. Um, I wouldn't necessarily say that because I don't know what coach
No,
could
I
fix this.
I think it would be silly. I mean, let him try to figure out a team. The U.S. is already in the World Cup. It's stupid to find another coach right now. I mean, I feel like now he should be the one to coach in the World Cup. It would be foolish to make a coaching change.
Yeah, so we're just going to be patient. As you said, we've got 12 months, um, and I hope he's got a miracle. I hope he's got some magic because man, they need it because tonight is a dark, dark night for American soccer. Um,
Yeah.
but hey, we've managed to come back from previous dark nights, so let's see if we can come back from this one.
But since we're talking about soccer in US, also starting this weekend, at least for I don't know if for United States, but at least in Brazil and maybe Asia and Africa, a little bit in Europe, the eyes of the world will be in US because the first ever true official FIFA Club World Cup starts. And so did Auckland City already made it to Chattanooga?
They have, yes. Now I haven't seen them yet, um, but I know they're starting to open practices here at Baylor School. They're staying downtown at the Reed House, and they had free matches, including in Nashville on my birthdays against Boca Juniors. So that might be an interesting match to go see. Because I probably should go check out at least one match while this is going on. But for Auckland City, I will say their path looks very hard.
A lot, very, very hard. I'll say that. I mean, they beauty against Bayern Munich, and they also have Benfica and Boca Juniors. I mean, be honest, forget about it. I mean, it would be one of the most shocking things ever in soccer history if they qualify to the next round. No
Absolutely.
way.
But like in terms of fixtures, like what are some of the matches you're most excited for?
Oh, definitely Sunday, Palmeiras and Porto. I mean, talk about a clash between, Abel Ferreira being probably the most successful Portuguese coach in the last 5 years. I'll say. I mean, probably the Portuguese people say, "Oh, but he won in South America. He didn't win in Europe, but he won everything he could with Palmeiras." I mean, it would be funny that if Abel Ferreira this title, he won pretty much everything he could with Palmeiras. I mean, he would be so. It would be interesting to see this matchup. Also, another one is Fluminense Borussia Dortmund. I mean, Fluminense got Soteldo from Santos. I mean, Fluminense probably in the fourth Brazilian teams. It's the most unlikely to make it to the next round, especially because they are in one of the hard. They're like, the more likely to advance because they have one African team and another team from Asia, from South Korea, but it depends the way they debut against Borussia Dortmund. But the team that has the hardest path to advance is definitely Botafogo because they play Champions League, the current Champions League champion PSG, Atletico Madrid, which is one of the hardest teams to play in the last few years with Diego Simeone, and also they play the Seattle Sounders, which is the only team in this tournament that have a home field advantage because this group is hosted in Seattle. So Botafogo is going to play two tough European teams, and the American team have probably the most passionate fan base in American soccer at home in Seattle.
Yeah, and I
And
guess my question is how seriously are the European teams taking this tournament? Are we going to see A squads for them?
I highly doubt it. I highly doubt it. I mean, the last time there was some sort of a tournament like that played was in 2000 in Brazil, and they only had 8 teams, not 32. But Real Madrid and Man United, the two European teams, went there. The players later said in podcasts and stuff that they had beach parties. For example, Man United was in Rio. They had beach parties. They were out partying. They didn't care about the tournament. They felt like a one of those friendly competitions, like a international champions cup back in the day in the US. So, but even that, I think you can't. I mean, those European teams, they are, even with their B squad, is still, I mean, very competitive, and they are still the gold standard. But in terms of the 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 ones who's gonna really wanted to win is the Brazilian ones. I think Palmeiras, Botafogo, Fluminense, and out of those teams, only Flamengo won the any world kind of title back in 1981. When Flamengo defeated Liverpool in which is now known the Intercontinental Cup, which back then was the only kind of uh, club world cup when FIFA wasn't involved. But for Botafogo, Fluminense, and Palmeiras, they all failed in this Intercontinental Cup. Fluminense lost 4-0 to Man City. Botafogo didn't even make it to the quarterfinals, losing to Pachuca. Palmeiras had two opportunities, lost in the semis to Tigres, and the final against Chelsea. So I think it's gonna be uh, those three teams definitely gonna take gonna want it more.
Absolutely. So I guess I don't want to sit here and pick every group, but kind of who would you say are who would you say are your favorites to win this whole thing?
I can pick a Palmeiras and Porto. I mean, I know Inter Miami is playing at home, but the discrepancy is big.
Is there a
Palmeiras.
Chelsea magic there?
No, Palmeiras and Porto, no doubt about it. I mean, I think Palmeiras is getting on his peak right now. They had a kind of like a turbulence a couple of months ago, especially when they lost the São Paulo State Championship to Corinthians. But I think they are in the right track, and even those last few matches in the Brazilian, championship, I saw one of those against Bragantino. They look like a team that can play resilient, and and they were preparing for that tournament. So Palmeiras and Porto.
Okay. What about Group B?
How about for you?
Um, I'll I'll go the same too. Palmeiras and Porto. Like I kind of almost want to pull the trigger for Miami. And Al Ali, don't they have I forget who they have on that team. Because I know they
Oh,
have
I mean, they're a passionate fan base. Uh, they I remember when they played against Internacional back in '06 in the semis which is now known the Intercontinental Cup. And yeah, I think they can do some trouble, but I don't see Palmeiras and Porto being out. They're gonna both advance.
all right. Group B.
The
I
toughest group in the tournament.
yeah, it's hard to pick against PSG and
Yeah,
Atletico
Atletico.
Madrid.
No, yeah. Even though I want to root for Botafogo because they are, the comeback kid of all play. I mean, talk about a comeback kid. I mean, you've been following, kind of the Brazilian soccer with me in this podcast, and you see the way the Botafogo ended the 2023 season with, the chokiest of all the most chokiest way to lose a competition. Being 10 points ahead and losing the Brazilian Championship to Palmeiras, and then year later, not only they won the Brazilian Championship, they won the Libertadores, but the coach left, many players left. So I'll say PSG and Atletico Madrid.
I will say I would love to see an American team do something, but you just can't have any faith in
I,
them.
I, I think for Seattle Sounders, they probably want to at least try to be competitive against PSG and Atletico Madrid, but would definitely wanted to win again Botafogo. They wanted to be kind of this matchup would be who is the best team in America. The between North and South America. Who that would be the fun part of this matchup because I don't know. I don't know how likely they're gonna be in. I mean, they're gonna, and it's funny that the first match of the group is be Botafogo Seattle Sounders. So whoever wins this game will be at least in competitive level to PSG and Atletico Madrid.
Mhm.
So I think this matchup is going to be awesome because it's not like in the third week and both are eliminated. No, it's in the opening of the group. So whoever wins is going to be, fighting for maybe a chance to get in.
In Group C, I gotta go Baynard and Boca.
Oh, Bayern Boca Juniors, no doubt about it.
Group D, I mean Chelsea and Flamingo.
Oh yeah, Chelsea and Flamengo. I don't see Tunis or I, I think is go
LA,
go down a little. Go down. Oh, hey, you have another American team. That's what I thought. So I'm glad you pull up the official website because in the Google they're still showing Leon, but Leon is not in because of the conflict having the same owner with Pachuca. So they have the Los Angeles FC, which won the game against America from Mexico. I think it was a decent. I mean, it was a good win. An American team eliminating a Mexican team for the FIFA Club World Cup. Normally it's the other way around, but yeah, Flamengo and Chelsea. Flamengo got even a great acquisition, Jorginho, former Chelsea.
Yeah, what if Jason, if you're still in the comments, what are your thoughts on this as a Chelsea fan? Like, is this something that you care about at all? If they win or not?
I want to hear how Jason is reacting to Chelsea playing the FIFA Club World Cup in America.
Yeah. I saw their first match is in Atlanta on Monday night. So they play LAFC in Atlanta.
Oh, that would be a great match to go. I bet Jason, Jason's probably going to think about going to a Chelsea game for sure.
Group E, um, hmm,
You have River Plate, Inter Milan, Monterrey, and Uraya. I believe it's Uraya Reds. Yeah,
I'm gonna
Inter
say
and
Milan and River Plate.
Inter Milan and River Plate.
Group F, Borussia Dortmund and Fluminense.
Yeah, Borussia Dortmund and Fluminense.
Group G, Manchester City and Juventus.
Yeah, same. I don't see Wyatt or All In do any damage. Juventus and Man City.
And then the last group here, give me Real Madrid and I don't know who I'd pick as a second team. Salzburg, maybe? Is that who that is at four?
Yeah, that's the RB Salzburg,
Yeah.
the Red Bull team of Austria.
Yeah. I feel like I'm just going de facto European teams. I will love for at least one American team to prove us wrong and do something.
Yeah, but both are in tricky positions. Yo, so let's do the bracket challenge.
Okay, so
We
if
pick
we
Porto first.
hold on. Oops. Well, screw it. Why not?
Yeah, why not? Palmeiras. Okay.
All right. Okay. Or I guess
Uh,
we can switch it. Okay. B. We'll
I,
say
I
P.
I don't know why I can't see anymore.
Or
Oh,
share
but
this. Okay. There we go. All right. PSG, Atletico Madrid. Let's say Botafogo and Seattle.
yeah,
All right. Baynard, Boca,
Chelsea, Flamengo,
LA, and then Tunense. Um,
Inter Milan, River,
who should we put at free?
Monterrey. Oh, Borussia, Fluminense, the MSU, the Marmelodi. Oh, that one's for sure. Man City, Juventus, and all in Real Madrid. I want to say Pachuca. Let's go for the upset.
All right. Let's go to knockouts. Let's see what we got here. Porto
Ooh,
versus Madrid.
Atletico Madrid.
Baynard versus Fluminense.
Oh, Flamengo actually. Oh, give me Bayern Munich. Yeah, I don't, yeah.
Inter versus this one's actually Fluminense.
Oh, yeah. So go up a little. So you might have a chance of Flamengo and Fluminense play in North Carolina in the same weekend. I'm not there. That's so unfair. That's so unfair. I mean, if I was in the US, I would have, go crazy. But give me Fluminense. Why not? Renato Gaúcho Magic.
Okay. In Orlando, we got Manchester City versus
Pachuca. Give me Man City.
PSG. Would have PSG versus Palmeiras. Dude, okay, if this happens, I think that's actually on my week off. Wait, I think it is. Yeah, because that's a Sunday, I believe.
Oh, that game should go. I mean, that would have been a fantastic matchup.
I don't know how much that game would cost, but I would have to try to go.
Tickets are going decreasing in prices. I saw they were like going for as much as like 40 to $50. They started like at 200.
Yeah, yeah. If PSG and Palmeiras play in Atlanta, I might have to be there for that one.
I can't believe Palmeiras is playing in Atlanta. Like, oh, because like if you told me when I was in US like 5 years ago, it'd be like, oh, maybe I only see Brazilian teams in Florida for friendly competitions, and that's about it. And now Palmeiras is gonna play a knockout stage of a FIFA Club World Cup in Atlanta. Give me Palmeiras.
All right, we got Chelsea and Boca Juniors in Miami.
Uh, I don't know. I mean, I want to say Chelsea, but though I mean those Boca Junior fans, they're gonna show up like the Argentinians show up
Yeah.
versus Colombia in the Copa America final. Boca fans are gonna show up for that match.
You know what? I feel like this is an upset.
Give me Boca.
All right. Back in Atlanta, we got Borussia Dortmund versus River Plate.
Give me Borussia.
I can say the South American fan bases are going to be just frothing at the mouth with these matchups, though.
Oh yeah. Because I mean, I saw, I felt it even when I went to the like friendly competitions in Florida. You could see how much it meant to immigrants that is in US for. Do you know? Oh my god, I'm I'm I don't want to give ideas, and definitely I'm gonna regret saying that. But how much ice is gonna be looking at those games?
In light of recent events, I have no comment.
Yeah, better. Sorry to put that. Like I don't. I know it's a dark side of me to have a thought like
Yeah,
that,
that's
but
that's funny. Because I'm sure you've seen some of the news over the
yeah, I
past
saw.
days.
Yeah, I saw.
It's there's certainly Los Angeles is actually it's
It,
about curfew now in downtown because of that situation.
and it's funny how one of the most important soccer tournaments for South Americans, Argentinians with Boca and River, Brazilians, Palmeiras, Flamengo, Fluminense, and Botafogo, and even Mexicans, Pachuca. Um, they are, in a time where they're going to be thinking twice or three times: should I go to this game?
Yeah, I mean it's certainly going to be interesting, and we've had issues with Nashville SC, right? Like they've um
They canceled tailgates, I believe.
because there were rumors that THP was going to be hanging out outside of the gates trying to pull over people. So that's a whole other topic
Yeah,
for
yeah,
a
yeah.
podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Let-
all I gotta say on that one is
Sorry
Any,
to be a dark side. Sorry to bring a.
absolutely. I'm just trying to tiptoe on
Yeah.
that subject. All right, last one here: the battle for Cristiano Ronaldo, Real Madrid versus Juventus.
Oh, the former teams. Is the how can I say? It's like when you have a glamorous guy and those two exes fight in the parking lot. because who wants love the X more? Give me Madrid.
All right, off to the quarterfinals. Okay, we got Atletico Madrid versus Baynard.
Atletico Madrid. Or in a 4th of July game. Interesting.
It'd be nice if an American team made it that far. That's not going to happen, though.
Yeah.
All right, 4th of July, though, in Orlando, Fluminense versus Manchester City.
A rematch. That would have been a rematch of the 2023 Intercontinental Final. Give me Man City. Yeah, I don't see Fluminense was destroyed when they have, Fernando Diniz and the prime players. I don't see revenge now.
We have Palmeiras versus Boca
Oh,
Juniors in Atlanta.
oh my God, that would have been an amazing matchup because those two teams they have so much rivalry because they in the early 2000s they faced in 2000 they faced in the Libertadores final. 2001 they faced in Libertadores semifinals. In 2018 they had another match. They had a rematch in the semifinals, and all those times Boca Juniors eliminated Palmeiras. So Boca Juniors can be uh, a big rock in Palmeiras' shoes.
And
So,
and that's on a Saturday too. I just looked at my calendar.
oh, I'm so jealous of you, Nicholas Hill.
I'm gonna have to, I'm gonna have to go to at least one of these games.
I'm so jealous. If you have a chance to see Palmeiras, Palmeiras and Boca is, how can I say? It's like, I don't know. One of those. It's not a Yankees Red Sox, but it would be like a rivalry that is not often played, but they met. Oh, it's like New York and Indiana. They're not like local rivals, but they met so much in those big games in Libertadores. They kind of feel like a rivalry.
Yeah. So who would
I'm
you
going.
pick in that game?
I'm, I, I know my Corinthians fans are going to be mad at me. Give me Palmeiras.
All right, and we got Borussia Dortmund versus Real Madrid in New York.
Uh, a rematch of UEFA Champions League final last year. Give me Madrid.
All right, in the semifinals, we have Atletico Madrid and Manchester City.
Give me Atletico Madrid.
And then we have Palmeiras versus Real Madrid in New York. What would the vibes be like for Palmeiras fans if they made it all the way to the semifinals?
Oh my god, it would have been insane. Palmeiras fans, they're already obnoxious. I couldn't even stand. They would be like going crazy if that happens. But the Cinderella run, I think will be done. Give me Madrid.
And then we have the Derby in New York, Madrid in New York.
Yeah.
Which Madrid wins?
Yeah. uh, because I want to say Atletico Madrid because I think Diego Simeone deserves so much an international trophy because he came close. Like he lost two UEFA Champions League finals to Real Madrid, 2014, 2016. I know this tournament, at least for the Europeans, is not as big as the Champions League, but if Atletico Madrid wins this one, give me Atletico Madrid.
All right, so I'm gonna save this. I'm gonna take that off so I can actually save this. But yeah, I'll have to keep up with this and see who ends up winning and see how close we got. Because obviously, you know way more about this than I do.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm definitely gonna. I'll be definitely watching Palmeiras and Porto on Sunday. That's for sure. And it'll be funny. Botafogo and Seattle Sounders, at least for Brazil time, at 11 p.m. That's gonna be a late kickoff for Brazilians.
oh, for sure. Um, so while we're on the topic of soccer, is there anything else in Brazil that you'd want to bring up that we haven't discussed already?
Just to wrap up Brazil, Rio Branco is debuting in the Paulista Cup on Saturday. I am excited about, and also just right now, that's a wrap up for Brazil. 1-0 win versus Paraguay. Vini Jr. scored at 43 minutes in the first half. But I'm excited about Rio Branco. As I said, I think in the last episode, it's a good mix between veteran players and young players. The coach is uprising coach, former goalkeeper Fabio Totti. I'm excited, but it's going to be a hard debut. Primavera just got promoted to the first division in the state of São Paulo. They kept their coach, Fernando Marchiotti. The roster, of course, they lost a bunch of players because, when you win the A2 in Sao Paulo, you get attractions, and those players, rather play in a national competitions like fourth and third division nationally than Paulista Cup. But still, though, they're going to be a hard debut, and I'll be not broadcasting, but I'll be in the field creating social media videos for Real Broncos social media pages. And tomorrow, on Thursday, we have the Brazilian Championship, the last week before they stop because of the FIFA Club World Cup. Right now, I want to say uh, Palmeiras is in Flamengo actually in first place, but probably Cruzeiro is going to finish this first part of the Brazilian Championship on top because they're going to play on Thursday, and Flamengo and Palmeiras and Fluminense and Botafogo definitely not playing because they're already in the United States. So interesting to see how the Brazilian Championship kind of uh, you know end this first part of the tournament. So I guess that you know that's kind of what I see, but hope I'm more excited about actually Real Bronco because I been it's a very good preparation, and I'm excited.
Absolutely. And also shout out to Allison Demento saying
Oh yeah.
good night and mentions that Brazil defeated Paraguay 1-0.
Yeah, Alisson, tô falando aqui do Rio Branco. Tamo animado. Vamos Rio Branco. I'm
So
saying like,
I'm
yeah,
just glad someone's team won tonight. Uh,
yeah.
so we are two countries, two Americas, one winner, and
I like that. I
one
like.
circus.
Say that again. I love that. So it's two
Two countries,
countries.
two Americas, one winner, one circus.
I love that. I love that. I
But
love that.
just put a clown nose on the entirety of the United States. Via Tigre.
Yeah, vai Tigre. Yeah, Allison too excited about Rio Branco. He's a.
And out of curiosity, did all the Brazilians top players decide they want to play tonight? So out of
They what?
curiosity, did the Brazil's top players decide they want to play tonight?
Oh yeah, yeah. They needed to because Brazil is still not qualified to the World Cup. Despite the CONMEBOL have 6 spots to qualify straight to the World Cup. Brazil was in 6th place, so they needed desperate this win. They were, the I want to say, but it was a while they won in the qualifying, and Brazil is in the World Cup with this win. Mathematically, Brazil is going to be in the United States next year. So now 100% for sure both of our countries are going to be in the World Cup. I mean, I know the probability of Brazil not qualifying to the World Cup was, you know, slim, but now it's mathematically impossible Brazil not to be in the World Cup. Brazil,
After
every,
Trinidad and Tobago, never take it for granted.
yeah, I know. And fun fact, Brazil is the only country to qualify to all World Cups. All Brazil participated in all World Cups.
It's like the Lady Vols and with the NCAA tournament in basketball.
Yeah, Brazil right now with this win is in 3rd place, and the in Bolivia, and now only have 2 games. In Bolivia in 8th place, which is the last place not to be in the World Cup, is 17. So Bolivia can only go to 23. And Venezuela, yeah, and Brazil now is qualified straight to World Cup. Even 7th place Venezuela, they can only go to 24 points and Brazil has 25. So after a hard time in the qualifying, only winning one game out of four, they won tonight. They're in the World Cup. That's woof, Brazil in the World Cup.
Absolutely. And your team's actually playing together and not fighting everyone like my team is. But
I, I
hopefully, yeah,
I mean, now hopefully we'll have political peace in the Brazilian Confederation with the Samir Haoud, the new president. Hopefully, he will at least bring stability. And you know, in Brazil, I said in the past, I'm confident about next year. All signs point. Like in 1994, Brazil was 24 years without a World Cup, which they ended up winning in the United States, like it's going to happen this year. So there's a lot of facts that kind of point out, Brazil also a year before the World Cup was in very much doubt. Their best player was injured, Ronaldo, Neymar now. So there's a lot of coincidences, I want to say.
absolutely. We'll see what happens with Brazil and the U.S. men's team as two teams going in two very different directions. But let's move on to some other sports here. We have the NBA Finals began this past week. We are through two games. It's tied 1-1. Really should be 2-0 Oklahoma City, but Indiana once again with a miraculous comeback to come back and win in game one. Another Tyrese Halliburton game winner. Like
Yeah, I was gonna say that dude will have a star in his head.
Yeah, quite literally. Like when it comes down to the end of a game, he does not miss.
Yeah.
Like he's the most clutch player we have seen since at least Kobe Bryant, in my opinion. Like he is so good when he's on. Now there are times where he gets tentative and he's not as aggressive, and that's
Oh, definitely last game.
yeah, and that he has at least one or two of those every series. So for Indiana fans, you have to hope that that's really the one time that's going to happen here in this series, because Oklahoma City, in my opinion, is not a very good shooting team. Now SGA is really good, Yeshai Gilgeous Alexander, but Jalen Williams to me is very, very streaky, and when he is off, he is off. And the Pacers have several guys that can flame it from anywhere. But the Pacers' defense in their hand isn't the greatest here. So to me, the Thunder really won game two based off of pace. They were able to slow the game down, make it ugly, and that really played into the advantage of the Oklahoma City Thunder. Whereas in game one, the Pacers were able to stay close enough to where when they finally got their surge, they were able to get just enough. And the Thunder, too, you can tell they're the younger team. They've never been here before. They don't have the coach that's been here before, like Rick Carlisle. Um, and I'm curious to see what they do on the road. Like, especially if Indiana comes out and wins game three tomorrow. Do they tighten up? Because they looked pretty tight to start the game on Sunday night. Now, they were able to really overwhelm the Pacers there in the second quarter, but they're not going to have their home crowd with them in game three and game four. They're going to go to a just absolute powder keg in Indiana because those fans are going to show up and they're going to be fiery in games three and game four. Also, shout out to Vanessa Maximo for watching the podcast.
Oh, hello, Vanessa.
Um,
Thanks for watching.
so to me, I honestly I feel like I really have no idea how this thing is going to play out the rest of the series because I still feel like the Thunder are probably the better team here, but man, the Pacers just have magic. They've just found ways to be clutch throughout this entire series, and it feels like it's going 6 or 7, and it still feels like we're going to be here next week talking about the series not being over. But I'm still feeling Pacers in 7. I just feel like if this thing comes down to the end, the Pacers have been in so many tight games while the Thunder have not been. And that's going to ultimately be the difference. Also, shout out to Marcio DeSena.
Oh
And
yeah, great radio personality, and he's saying good night for me and my American buddy. Uh, he's uh, he's uh, he's excited to see how Carlo Ancelotti is going to develop, and He looks for the American. He's curious about how the American crowd is going to be ready for the FIFA Club World Cup, or he's focused on the NBA Finals. Um, yeah, I mean, of course, America is focused on the finals in the hardwood and the ice.
Right, right. And obviously, it's all city based, right? Like Seattle's going to show up for the Sounders in specific markets. And that's the thing about America is like our attention gets divided based off where you are.
Yeah,
Some cities are going to care more about college baseball this upcoming weekend. It just depends on where you are. And unfortunately, I don't think anywhere in America is going to be focused on the U.S. men's team because they're just buns. You know, I mean, and they've completely alienated everyone. But I still feel like this is Thunder. To me, it's Pacers in 7, but they have to find a way to control the tempo better. And I think at home they're gonna find a way to do that.
oh yeah, for sure. I would say definitely. Yeah, but I think this series is gonna go like you said, 6 or 7. Definitely is gonna be. Uh, but I think Indiana, even though they got crushed in game 2, they have something. It's a kind of feeling they're gonna win it.
They just have that feeling. The team of destiny. Game free tomorrow night should be a good one. Also, in the Stanley Cup Finals, we have the Panthers up 2-1. They absolutely crushed the Oilers yesterday, 6-1.
Oh my! Here go again.
And the Panthers are just like they may struggle with a team for a little bit, but once they figure it out, they figure it out. Um, they're just a buzzsaw, and the Oilers are good, and they're going to give this team a fight. I just see the Panthers winning this thing in 6. Like
As much as I would love to see a Canadian team breaking the curse, yeah, I agree with you. I think the Panthers is more completed roster.
yeah. Now let's move on to the College World Series in baseball. And unfortunately, our volunteers will not be going for a back to back in Omaha this year. Fayetteville turned into Vietnam again for Tennessee in another sport as we lost 2-0 this weekend, including a 10-2, just shellacking in the final game on Sunday. And honestly, I can't be mad, right? Because I mean, we just won it last year, so I'm not really that upset with the performance. We just weren't as good this year. We weren't close to being as good this year. And really, where we lost it was not this past week, and we lost it in the second half of the year, losing 5 straight series to close out SEC play. Because if you don't do that, then you don't have to travel to Arkansas in the Super Regionals. You could have had a much easier Super Regional where you could have made Omaha again for the 4th time in 5 years, but falling apart after the Texas A&M series did not help their case, and they kind of earned what they deserved. And like what was really shocking about the series is Liam Doyle getting pulled in the 3rd inning there by Tony Vitello, or 4th inning, excuse me. And I get he was struggling, but I think you had to ride him out because as soon as you pulled him out, you put in I think it was Krenzel you put in, and then he got absolutely rocked for a grand slam, and that was that. That was the end of the game. Phillips played decently well on Saturday, but the offense was horrific on Saturday. Outside of 2 home runs, we got no hits, no base hits at all in this game. And then there was a point in the 3rd inning where the Vols had the bases loaded, could only get 1 run across, and then the 4th inning was when the bottom fell out on the Vols. And just the hitting was not good, especially from the middle of the order, including Dalton Bargo, who was like 1 of 38 in the postseason, just abysmal. Like basically, they did stuff that they did everything that last year's team did not do. They made errors at costly times. They weren't able to get timely hits. Like last year's team always had an answer when they got into a pickle. This year's team did not, and they can't really fault anyone. That's just the way baseball works. And they lost so much from last year's team, and there's a reason why no team has repeated in decades because it's near impossible. So all in all, the fact they still made their fifth super regional, that's a good season. Not great. I mean, that's the thing about Tony Vitello and this program. They've conditioned us to expect Omaha or bust, which is saying something. Like you're not supposed to expect Omaha or bust. I mean, the fact we've made 5 straight super regionals is a testament to how good this program is, and I have full confidence we'll be back in this position next year.
Yeah, the only part I was sad is that I didn't want to be eliminated by the Arkansas Razorbacks, especially the heated rivalry, especially on Twitter.
Right, and and Tony V has struggled against Arkansas. Like he has not beaten them in one series, so that's kind of his Achilles heel, which is really interesting. And he and you have to commend him. He sat on the field, congratulated the Arkansas all the Arkansas players and coaches. And now Arkansas fans are running around claiming, "Oh, okay, he's going to totally. This means he's our heir apparent." Whenever Dave Van Horn retires, I'm like, "You're not getting our coach, buddy. You're not getting our coach." So, Arkansas fans can dream big. They're going to Omaha and they still want Tony Vitello because Tony Vitello still has a national championship. And at least I can say for about the next week, you guys still don't. Now, with that being said, I do think Arkansas does have a chance to win it all this year, 100%. So let's take a quick look at the bracket this year for the College World Series and talk about some of the from top to bottom. About Coastal Carolina, who went into Auburn and swept them. Shout out to the Chanticleers. They're out to try to get their second World Series. They're playing Arizona, who, Arizona kind of benefited from Oregon and self-imploding in their regional, and then they went on the road to beat North Carolina. So shout out to the Wildcats there. Then you have Oregon State, who outlasted Florida State. Super impressive. I did not expect that. So shout out to the Beavers there. Of course, they're national champions back in 2018. Louisville, shout out to Jason Wyrick. He still has a team in Omaha, and it's the Cardinals. Then the bottom, you have UCLA, who held serve at home. And talk about the story of the tournament, Gus. Murray State. This team has an 800-seat stadium. Their head coach mows their own grass. And they're going to the College World Series. See, that's the type of stuff that makes sports magical right there.
And they have nothing to look at against UCLA. I mean, the fan base is already excited just to be there. So that makes great.
Absolutely. I mean, what a freaking story. I mean, going into Duke and beating them after being Ole Miss, I mean, it's just phenomenal. And shout out to the Missouri Valley Conference because, we talked about this last week, how Indiana State made a Super Regional 2 years ago. Evansville made the Super Regional last year. And let's be real, if Evansville didn't have to play number 1 Tennessee, they could have gone to Omaha too. If they had played, not the national champions, that team played well enough that weekend to beat several other teams. They just played a buzzsaw in Tennessee. And then Murray State this year didn't have to play a buzzsaw, and they got to go to Omaha. So that's freaking awesome. And then what's crazy to me is the two best teams in this league are having to play each other in the first round, Arkansas and LSU. And it almost feels like Arkansas LSU might be the actual national championship. And it feels like we might see that a couple of times during this World Series. So
yeah,
I'm going to give my picks here. So I'm going to say Coastal Carolina and Oregon State win the first games. I think Louisville beats Arizona in the losers bracket. I think Coastal Carolina beats Oregon State. I'm going to take Louisville to beat Oregon State. And then I think Louisville wins one game against Coastal, but then Coastal eliminates Louisville to go to the national championship. So I have Coastal Carolina going to the national championship. At the bottom, I want to pick Murray State. I got to pick UCLA, though. And then Arkansas LSU is going to be insane. Give me LSU, though. I think Arkansas beats Murray State in the loser bracket. LSU beats UCLA. Arkansas beats UCLA. And I think Arkansas wins 2 games in a row over LSU to set up Arkansas versus Coastal Carolina. And then I'm going to say in 2 games, I think the Hogs finally get it done. I think beating Tennessee last weekend is like a mental break, like it breaks a mental block for them. That'll get them to Natty. And it's almost fitting, right? Because we've been talking so much crap for a year about, oh, we have a national championship and you don't. That, well, Arkansas is going to finally get their natty. It just feels like that's what's about to happen.
Yeah, I, 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 but it would be funny. Imagine if Coastal Carolina gets their second title and makes Arkansas titleless.
Man, if that happens, that's all I want from Omaha this year. Keep Arkansas, anyone but I mean, okay, I don't really want LSU to win either, but they already have a ton of titles. Whatever. What's one more title? Keep Arkansas off the board. But I'm rooting for Louisville and Murray State in Coastal Carolina. Are the three teams I would really like to see win, or even Oregon State. Imagine if Oregon State wins the title. They got left for dead as an athletic program. But they still are here and they're fighting. They have the Beaver fans have to be proud of what they're doing.
Oh yeah, definitely. Imagine if it would be Murray State versus Coastal Carolina. It would be the national championship of a major sport with the lowest probably pedigree of colleges.
Yeah, and it would be anti last year.
Yeah.
Which I mean, last year was incredible, but there may be a little bit of bias in there. I feel like because last year was my favorite national championship I've ever watched in any sport. Gus,
Yeah.
God, I
Yeah.
don't know why that would be. Hey, no matter how bad we lost this weekend, we still won the 2024 national championship. That's all that matters. I will fly that banner for the rest of my life. Okay. Real quick shout out to the Longhorns. Texas, they defeated Texas Tech in 3 to win the Women's College World Series title. So Oklahoma finally has their streak broken by the Longhorns.
And and I believe it's the first title of of Texas Longhorns after being included in the SEC.
Correct. And the first SEC title, technically, in a while, too. So, but can we really claim Texas as an SEC title? I mean,
Now we have to. Well,
have
we
to,
have
don't
to.
we? Ugh.
Yeah, we have to. I mean, it's a new reality of conferences. They are in the SEC.
Right. I mean, the SEC did win basketball, right, with Florida, and Texas. So, yay.
And there's a big show we just discussed with Arkansas and LSU. Imagine. So we the only football in this calendar year in the major sports probably now we have baseball, but
Like
softball.
SEC is dominating every sport except for football.
Yes, and women's basketball was South Carolina or
I forget who won. Oh, Connecticut won it this year.
yeah.
Yeah, Connecticut won it this year. So, yeah. Okay. But still on college sports, real quick, though. We do finally have a settlement in the NCAA case. So Claudia Wilkins approved the deal between the NCAA, its conferences, and all athletes. So now schools can directly pay the players with no pretenses. The NCAA also has to pay nearly $3 billion in back damages over the next 10 years. So this is going to be fascinating because, as far as I'm aware, there really is no salary cap for these teams.
There's no like free agency. It's no free agents period. Is as the transfer portal became the year-round free agency.
Right. Now, the different conferences are going to have their own enforcements, which that's not going to get bad at all, right? So, like, I'm assuming it's going to be near impossible to transfer within conference. But like, if an SEC player wants to go to the Big Ten or vice versa, like what we just saw with the snake, I mean, it doesn't sound like there's any mechanism still here to stop it
With the what?
with the snake.
Oh, now he's Nico is Snake.
Yeah, Nico the Snake.
Nico
Uh,
the Snake.
yeah, because I mean, obviously left to go to a Big Ten school. So it's going to be really interesting, and we're just curious to see how this affects like because it's one thing to do it for football players in a sport that actually generates revenue. Most sports don't generate revenue. So how is this going to work if we're trying to pay players in a sport that doesn't generate revenue? And a lot of these colleges, I mean, yeah, you got Tennessee and like other SEC schools that can afford this because they have massive athletic departments, but you got schools like Murray State, that have their head coach, mowing the lawn. I mean, how are they going to afford to pay players? Like it just it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out and what school, because I feel like there's going to be some schools that are probably going to have to get rid of athletics eventually over this.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see.
Right. But I mean, at the same time, like the players do deserve to get paid, especially at the highest levels
Oh
because
yeah,
these contracts were getting so insane, so big, and they're risking their physical well being. I mean, they deserve something 100%. It's going to be a challenging act. And like the Ohio States and the Tennessees and the Alabamas are going to be fine. And some of the smaller institutions that I do wonder about in terms of their long term sustainability in the NCAA. Um, it's going to be interesting to see what happens. Real quick in the MLB, I talked a lot about the U.S. men's team being a disaster. I got to add the Atlanta Braves to into this as well. They have become the masters of blowing leads. Like on Thursday, they blew it was an 11-4 lead to the Diamondbacks and ended up losing. Just an absolute, just insane loss to blow a 6-run lead in the top of the ninth. They call up Craig Kimbrell for one day, then DFA him. Tonight they lost 4-1 to Milwaukee, and that was after another blown lead yesterday. And I'm starting to hear from other Braves fans around here, from my friend group. They're basically like, "We got to fire Snitker. It's over." To me, like I think Alex Anthopoulos should be on the hot seat because you really haven't gone out and done a lot of good free agent signings recently. Yeah, you got like Ronald Acuna and Ozzy Albies on team friendly contracts, but what do we have to show for it? I mean, and the team is kind of falling apart right now. And yes, this core won in 2021 the World Series, and I'll always be happy about that. And this core has succeeded because they won in 2021, even with Ronald Acuna being hurt. But it's just not working right now for the Braves, and they're not competitive right now. They're going to be distant from the playoffs, it looks like, at this point. And yeah, it just feels like the Braves are kind of aimless right now.
yeah, it's fair that all cycles have to come to an end eventually, and this cycle was even. Of course, the peak was 2021, but I'll say it all started back in 2019. So you had 6 years of run, and I think Brian Sticker. I really like him. I'll never forget. His autograph. He was really nice to me when I went to the Braves spring. Uh, oh my god, I forgot.
Oh yeah, down in Northport.
Yeah, North Four. Yeah, the Braves spring practice stadium. But I think his cycle has come to an end.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And it doesn't mean they're failures. I mean, these guys won a
Oh
ring.
no.
They won a ring. They set up what they accomplished to do now. Could they have done more? Probably. But like it's hard to win championships. And if you can win, there's a lot of great cores that never won anything. So the winning one is sufficient. Um, but it just sucks that they're not finishing out on a high note. And they're gonna have to probably retool for a little bit. So is what it is. I mean, they're 14 and a half games behind your Mets, who seem to be back finally. So yeah, it's going to be a quiet October, I think, in Truist Park.
Yeah. Hopefully, it will be exciting. October in New York.
Absolutely. But hey, I think you just look at the MLB standings real quick. The biggest shock of the season is the Detroit Tigers. 44 and 24. They're the top team right now in the American League, Gus. It has been a long time since the Detroit Tigers were good. Especially this good.
That's fair.
Yeah, like I think they were like good when I was a kid, but outside of that, they have not been good. So shout out to them. Of course, the Yankees, they're on top of their division. The Astros are back on top of their division. The Cubs are up by 5 games in the NL Central. And of course, the Dodgers are up by a game and a half and 2 games over San Francisco and San Diego. And poor Colorado is 12-53.
Oh my god, I feel bad for the Rockies fans. I mean, they feel like an eliminated team.
Yeah. Also, Chase Burns, he got called up to Louisville from Chattanooga, so he's one step away from the MLB up to AAA. I didn't get to see him play in Chattanooga. Would have reminded him of what he missed out upon last year, but I figured that was probably in poor taste, so I did not do that. Because whatever, he's making a lot more money than me. It is what it is. Oh yeah, so real quick NFL news: Aaron Rodgers has finally exited his dark sabbatical. He's exited the dark place, and he's officially going to Pittsburgh. Finally. I mean, at this, is this? I feel like this is just setting up for another 9-8, right? Like, it's going to be another year of mediocre quarterback play. It's going to be unexciting, boring. Pittsburgh is going to find a way somehow to get the 7 seed and lose in the first round. Like that's what this feels like. And the Pittsburgh fans are stuck in purgatory. Like, you're not bad like the Titans are to get the 1 pick, but you're not going to beat the Chiefs doing this. Like, I don't know what Pittsburgh's even trying to do here with a signing like this.
I mean, it's so funny that you just pointed out a team that won a title in a cycle of 7 years. I mean, when does the Steelers organization said enough is enough? We are a prime team. Um, um, when they're gonna say, Mike Tomlin, thank you for your service. You're a legend, but it's time to go.
Yeah. Like, and we're just holding on to, oh, we've never had a losing season. No one cares
Really?
about losing seasons in the NFL. Like,
Yeah.
they care about winning championships. And Pittsburgh fans especially care about winning championships. And Pittsburgh ain't winning no championships. They're not being the Ravens and they're not being the Bengals with what they have right now. Especially after getting rid of DK Metcalf and George Pickens. Like,
I mean, how crazy it is that
they got DK Metcalf, excuse me, and they got rid of George Pickens. But,
how crazy that the Browns in this century won a playoff game and the Steelers doesn't.
well, I guess in this decade, you mean.
Yeah, in this decade.
Right.
Still, though, it's crazy.
Absolutely. The Steelers are still better, but I mean, that's actually pretty nuts. I didn't even think about that. But yeah, I mean, this still, to me, puts the Steelers in third in the AFC North. It doesn't change things. And also, Aaron Rodgers' first game is at New York, the New York Jets.
Wow. That's gonna be that. It feels like a Monday Night Football game.
Yeah, the NFL knew what they were doing with that one. See, the NFL once again, it proves why it's the most popular sport in the entire world, or the most popular league in the entire world, because it knows how to market itself. It knows how to market the drama.
I mean, the NFL is king. I mean, there's no way to describe it. That's why I like that you clarify perfectly. Football, American football, is not the most popular sport in the world. Let's agree that's soccer. But in terms of league, the best league in the world is the National Football League.
Yeah. Final point I want to make here: Danny Hamlin wins Michigan his third race of the year, as he's expecting a baby any day now. It's him and his fiance. There's a chance he might not get to race this weekend if his fiance goes into labor this weekend. So that would be pretty interesting because that could affect playoffs. Because technically, you're supposed to try every race to go to the playoffs. I'm sure NASCAR would give him a waiver for missing a race to see the birth of his child. I mean, I think that's a pretty valid reason to miss a race. But I will say this: the most interesting driver in NASCAR right now by far is Carson Hocevar. He's only like 2021, and this dude has been fast every single week. He was racing He's been racing for wins. He was in the lead with 15 laps to go this weekend at Michigan, and his tire went down. Absolute heartbreaker. He is getting closer and closer to winning a race. He's going to get there eventually. Just wasn't meant to be this weekend. I don't think it'll be this weekend either. They go to Mexico City. So this is going to be the first Cup race ever in Mexico, down at the track that F1 races at. I think it's Autodromo Rodriguez, I think is what it's called, down in Mexico City. So should be an interesting race. I honestly, considering they've never been there, I probably would go with someone like a Shane Van Gisbergen to win this weekend. Now, SVG has not been good this year, but he's good at road course racing. And this will definitely be his opportunity to get a win this year at Mexico City. So congratulations, Denny Hamlin, on both the win and eventually his new child. And also, one more note of NASCAR while I'm thinking about it. Denny Hamlin's team 2311 and Front Row Motorsports have their lawsuit against NASCAR has been overturned. So they previously had won, but now they have no longer won. So they're about to lose their automatic spots in NASCAR, which means they would have to qualify their way in every single week, and they would get less payouts per week. If they lose their so-called charters, basically, which is your guaranteed spot in NASCAR, because they're not happy with the way NASCAR is running the sport, which has long-term existential consequences for the sport potentially. So I really hope a settlement can be found here because we want as many competitive teams as possible to race. And to me, it feels like NASCAR is kind of bullying here. It feels like the sport is kind of tilted towards like the Hendricks and Joe Gibbs of the world. But like 2311 has Michael Jordan behind them, and they have a lot of money. So we'll see how that plays out.
Yeah, it's something off the tracks that can affect definitely in the track, especially for NASCAR, definitely.
Yeah.
And also, I forgot to. Giannis is in Brazil. Actually, he was at the game um, tonight. So interesting to see a NBA star here in Brazil.
I'm about to say, is there you gotta wonder, is there any tea leaves we can read off that? Because there are a lot of people who seem to think he's on the move this offseason. So
Yeah, I wonder if there are any Knicks fans. Maybe want to take a picture of him. Just saying that.
any Lakers fans down there as well. I mean, how much help does LeBron need?
Yeah.
I don't know. Would LeBron and Giannis work together though? I mean, I guess they could, but LeBron, Giannis, and Luka. I mean, I don't know. But that is all the time we have tonight for Two Countries, Two Americas, All Sports. Here, episode 184. For Gus Amazelli, I'm Nick Hill. Thank you so much for watching tonight. And to the U.S. men's soccer team, please figure it out. Have a good night.